Now, I always like to go to the other end. That was a success. I'd love you to tell us, and it's always we learn from mistakes. I'd love to find a big mistake that you made or you're doing in your own personal sales that you did or you've seen your team doing that you've actually picked it up. Now, we had an example of the tone and the words. I'd like to say a big one, something that you see come up quite regularly and what you did to rectify it and what the outcome was.
Yeah, well, like this is one that it's come up a lot of times actually, and it still continues to happen. So it's probably our show rate on when we're booking appointments, and this is one that it came up earlier in the year, and it's come up a couple of times since then. Now, when it first came up, I knew a process to sort of go about it. So when earlier in the year we were booking a lot of appointments, which was really great. But the show rate, we were getting like only 2 out of every 10 show up. So, and we were selling well still, so we were still lucky that those 2 that showed up, we were closing. And also we're getting a lot of walk-ins. But it was a lot of time spent on the phone booking appointments that was getting wasted because you're booking 10 appointments and only 2 showing up. Well, those 8 people you've spoken to and booked in, you've sort of wasted that time even calling them and booking them in. So I was like, well, what can I do to help change this? And, you know, it's a bit disheartening when you see that your show rate's 20%. So, and I was making a lot of calls at the time too. So, and so even some of my appointments weren't showing up. So it wasn't everyone it wasn't just the team, it was myself too. So what I put in was a A1, A2, A3. So the team hadn't been trained on this. They didn't know it. It wasn't something we had in place. This is back at the very beginning of the year when we had this. And so A1 was an appointment booked for today, A2 was tomorrow, and A3 was everything past that. And I pretty much said, I want to see 0 A3s booked. What we were getting was a lot of appointments booked on a Monday for Saturday. And yeah, that was why they weren't showing up because, you know, it's Saturday, it's too far away. By the time it gets there, they're like, oh, I'm not going to go. Or something comes up. So I said, if they want to book on Saturday, that's fine, but call them on Friday to book them in for tomorrow, for the next day. So then I gave rewards for the people who booked the most A1s and A2s at the end of the month. So that the very first month I said, book the most A1s and A2s, you'll get a reward for this. So that really drove the team to start booking A1s and A2s. And they were like, how can I book an appointment for today? You know, they were confused at first. So I did give a bit more training on the actual appointment booking in the outbound script in that very end, just that little part, just tweaked the script a little bit. Gave people that 2 choice thing, you know, are you available to come down this afternoon or this evening or tomorrow morning? And then the 2 time thing, you know, we are pretty busy, but we've got some time at 3 o'clock or 4:30 if you're free. So just the 2 choices. And then everybody, pretty much the whole team. And as I did that example too myself, it made our show percentage go all the way up to like 70% in 2 weeks. Wow. So it was pretty crazy just to start seeing people show up for their appointments. And potentially that still had that impact where if someone wanted to book for Saturday, well, they weren't booking them. They were saying, great, well, I'll give you a call on Friday to confirm you for tomorrow and we can book it in then. So I'll just pencil you in just tentatively at the moment and we'll lock it in on Friday. And they said when they call back, they'd say, oh, yeah, some of them actually came in on the Friday or some of them came in on the Sunday, but it made that person more urgency for that appointment at the time. So that was probably one of my biggest issues, continues to still come up. So I think that it's a continuous training in that alternative choice. As I've watched calls happen, I noticed that people start to go back to the old scripting and they start to be like, oh, are you free this week at all? Rather than going are you available to come down today or tomorrow? So getting that urgency scripting going and keeping that, you know, we have some really great deals available, better to come down sooner than later so you don't miss out. So really changing the wording because very quickly, especially on outbound calls when they're making a lot of calls a day, they quickly go off script and start saying their own things. So watching the calls and continuing to role play the calls. And the best thing about
Three things that
is it only takes a minute or 2, so it's very fast to call role play where like a tour takes a while. So that's probably what has to continue to happen, just training on the A1s and booking that urgency of booking the appointment. So it is still an issue. I did have very poor show rate last week. So something that I'm continuing to work on.
Well, if I hope you guys are listening to what Shane's saying. He said, oh, my show rate last week wasn't that great, but I've actually fixed it. See, he's actually measuring his numbers on a daily basis and a weekly basis. We actually have a regular catch-ups on Monday, and we go through a few strategies and so forth, and we have a weekly conversation just to check in how things are going. And this young man always knows his numbers and always has a strategy to sort it out. But I'm just going to backtrack here for a moment. He mentioned A1s, A2s, and A3s. A1 is actually when someone actually calls or sends a web inquiry on a day, and we contact them within that 24 hours and book them in to come in on that day. It's a statistic that has been quite new, and Shane's implemented. A1s and A2s have, a 100% higher close rate and show rate on the day that they inquire if they come in on the day. Day 2 is after that 24 hours. So as a leader, he measured that and started saying, well, this is what we need to do. And then the guy said, well, we don't know what to do. So he then tweaked the script and then did the role play and then put it into play. And guess what? He did it himself. And then that means that he said, oh, I'm just not just saying you got to do it. He actually did the practice and put it into play. He then also went back and tweaked up the prompt. Wasn't just telling people what to do, and then measured it and went from 20 to 70% show, given that their closing percentage is high. Hope you're listening to that, because that actually is gold, because so many sales managers or people that are in sales don't measure their stuff on a daily and weekly basis. What Shane's done, he's found his numbers, gone to the source, and then changed it and made a massive difference. And I'm sure it made a big difference in the confidence of the people too. So that was an absolute golden nugget again, mate. You're actually giving lots of great stuff to all of our listeners. They're going to be very appreciative. Hope you're putting this into play, guys. Look, Shane, it's actually been a delight chatting with you. As I said, we could go on for hours as we normally do. But if people wanted to follow you and just be a friend or whatever, how could they connect with you on LinkedIn or possibly Facebook? Is there anything that they can see what you're doing? Because I'm sure they're really interested to see and monitor your success and see what you're doing.
Yeah, the best way to see what I'm up to is jump onto LinkedIn, Shane Holt, obviously. So jump on and look me up and connect with me on LinkedIn. I do post a bit on there. I'm trying to be as active as I can. If you want to see what I'm up to here at Oak Park or other things that I'm doing, jump onto LinkedIn and connect with me there. Also on Instagram and things like that. But to see what I'm doing professionally and in the sales area, jump on there and have a look.
Terrific. Well, guys, wasn't that great? A young gun doing the damage. Isn't it interesting? He takes a process, he empowers his people, and then he follows it through with a practice drill rehearse. But, I'm sure you heard it a few times. He said, oh, look, I needed to do this myself. And he works as hard on himself as he does on his people. So golden nuggets galore. I hope you take an action. Write some things in the comments. And if you want to connect with Shane, get him on LinkedIn and see what the great man's doing. So again, thanks a lot, Shane. And guys, I'd love you to make sure that you connect with Shane and put some things in action. Action is everything. All right, guys, have a great rest of the week, and we'll catch up with you real soon. Dr. J, signing off. Bye for now.